Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material and distill the most fascinating insights, giving you basically a shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into one of literature's most enduring and, let's face it, enigmatic figures, Mr. Edward Rochester from Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre.
That's right. We're working with a rich set of excerpts today from janechee-7.pdf, which really zeroes in on what makes Rochester such a distinctive hero. Our mission really is to unpack his complex character. We'll trace his surprising literary lineage, understand how Bronte both drew from and, well, radically transformed these influences, and ultimately, what makes him resonate so powerfully even today. So, yeah, get ready to discover the layers behind this iconic figure.
Okay, so if we're trying to really get a handle on Rochester, our sources suggest the best place to start is his very first entrance at Thornfield. It's not just an arrival. It's practically a force of nature, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
He thunders in on a tall steed, the rude noise of which just shatters the evening calm. And he's got this striking great dog with him, a lion-like creature with long hair and a huge head. It's almost like he's riding straight out of a myth.
Right into Jane's quiet life, yeah. And what's fascinating here is how the setting sort of primes us for this dramatic arrival. Thornfield itself, it's painted with this chill and vault-like air, a dark and spacious staircase, a long, cold gallery, a wide hall filled with grim portraits. Jane even thinks the third-story passage resembles a corridor in some Bluebeard's castle.
Bluebeard's castle, right. So her imagination, and ours too, is totally prime for, like, a creature from a fairy tale, a North of England spirit, and then this villain hero himself seems to just materialize out of the dusk.
Exactly. It sets such a powerful, almost foreboding tone right from the start.
Absolutely. He's steep in this rich, romantic, gothic aura from the get-go. But what's truly surprising, as our sources reveal, is that his most immediate literary predecessor actually comes from Bronte's own youthful writing.
Yes. That's such a fascinating point. We're talking about her early Legends of Angria, which she co-wrote with her brother Branwell.
Angria.
Precisely. These Angrian legends, penned when Charlotte was still quite young, between 1834 and 1839, they were this elaborate fantasy world they created, full of love, war, passion, revenge, all the good stuff. And it's not just the general vibe, the tales of scandal, betrayal, and romantic domestic treachery that clearly provide a blueprint for Rochester's own shadowy past. Sexual intrigue in Madeira and India. But one of their main characters, Duke Zamorna, is explicitly mentioned as a direct prototype for Rochester.
Wow.
It's like she was rehearsing him years before Jane Eyre.
So even her youthful writings were laying the groundwork. That's a truly surprising connection. And it's clear the Bronte children were, well, voracious readers, because the Angrian saga itself didn't just appear out of nowhere, right?
Not at all. It was heavily influenced by Gothic fiction and, critically, by the Romantic poets, especially Lord Byron, whom Charlotte Bronte openly admired.
Okay, so let's connect this to the bigger picture then. You can see how Rochester embodies elements of Byron's famous hero, Don Juan.
Definitely. That hero's exotic exploits and that fiercely passionate individualism, it's echoed in Rochester's connections, however fleeting, with figures like the Persian king Ahasuerus, the Grand Turk, even a sultan with a harem.
Right.
His history of sexual license, too, definitely draws from that bold, Byronic mold.
And it's not just Byron, is it? His very name, Rochester, that subtly nods to the infamous 17th century Restoration poet, the second Earl of Rochester.
The one known for his famously scandalous and often, well, explicit poetry that really pushed social boundaries.
So the name itself suggests a certain shocking, maybe erotic charge.
Exactly. It's all part of the package.
And here's where we see Bronte's truly innovative touch, I think. Bronte also crafted Rochester as her version of Byron's Cain.
Ah, yes. Cain.
That's the Cain from the biblical story, the one who kills his brother Abel. Bronte even called Byron's poem on Cain a magnificent poem.
That link to Cain and, you could also say, Milton's Satan is incredibly powerful.
So what do you think Bronte was trying to achieve by aligning Rochester with such figures of profound sin and rebellion?
Well, like Milton's Satan before him, who Rochester actually compares himself to more than once, calling himself a fallen angel and snake-like tempter, Cain is condemned to roam the earth. He's an isolated, resentful outcast.
Burdened.
Burdened, exactly, by the curse of his own sinful making. And think about how Rochester is described, that frequent association with a volcanic, secret nature, something that opened now and then in his eye and closed again before one could fathom the strange depth. It really suggests these hidden, almost forbidden subterranean forces at work inside him.
But the real genius here, as our sources reveal, is how Bronte didn't just borrow these ideas, she fundamentally transformed these literary archetypes.
Yes, that's key.
She didn't just import these powerful, brooding romantic figures into 19th century realist fiction, though that alone was pretty brilliant. She also fundamentally corrected and reshaped them. Think about his very first appearance to Jane. She says, "The man, the human being, broke the spell at once." And our source points out that the very first thing the man does is fall off his horse.
And this fall is so significant. While it maybe implicitly hints at the fallenness of his past life and his current spiritual state, it also immediately makes Rochester absolutely the human being. He becomes a fallen fellow creature, vulnerably in need of another's help and support.
Right. He lays a heavy hand on Jane's shoulder, leans on her, and limps to his horse.
Yeah, this powerful masculine presence is suddenly rendered conspicuously powerless right at his first appearance. It's a brilliant subversion of that grand, all-powerful Gothic hero.
It immediately humanizes him, makes him relatable almost. And it's not just a simple reversal either. The novel constantly complicates things, interrogates any easy categorization. Rochester is often both more and sometimes comically less than any heroic ideal can usually contain.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, well, for instance, when you expect this highly charged, feverish drama, like during this sexually symbolic burning of his bedchamber.
Yeah. What do you get?
You get the grimly realistic black humor of him cursing at his wet bedclothes.
Oh.
It's almost like Bronte is winking at us, isn't it? Just when you expect grand romantic tragedy, she gives you this very relatable, almost mundane frustration.
Exactly. Or think about the scene where Jane expects, the suavity of a successful suitor when Blanche Ingram is around. Instead, he confronts Jane emotionally while he's dressed in the humiliating pantomime gear of an old fortune-telling crone.
Oh, that scene. Yeah.
This constant subversion of expectation is just key to his distinctiveness.
Okay, but what truly distinguishes Rochester as a romantic hero, though? The sources say it's the fact that his deeply sexual nature is always treated as worthy of sympathetic seriousness.
That's a crucial point. And Jane herself involuntarily recognizes this. She sees it as an expression of a passionate ferocity that is also somehow deeply moral. He's this fallen creature who, even as he balks at his punishment, absolutely wants to be faved.
That's a truly unique blend, isn't it? It's not just about raw passion. It's about a yearning for redemption, a moral core, almost.
It really is. No other 19th century hero, not even Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights, possesses this rich mix of emotional need and moral urgency, or the same intellectual awareness of his own spiritual predicament, coming from within what the sources call the animalism of the very body which has produced the ruin of his life.
So he understands his own downfall on a really deep level.
Yes, almost instinctively. Not just intellectually, but like it's part of his physical being. Our sources suggest that maybe only George Meredith's sequence poem, Modern Love.
Oh, interesting comparison.
Yeah, really challenging work about marriage complexities, only that maybe comes close to explicitly covering this same troubled human sexual ground.
So he truly represents a kind of groundbreaking psychological experiment in literature. As Robert B. Heilman, the literary scholar, pointed out, if we only see Rochester as an angry and Byronic hero, we completely miss what is most significant: the exploration and opening up of new areas of feeling in intersexual relationships.
And this is crucial. Historically, Gothic literature gave us thrilling, often supernatural tales of passion, intense emotions, usually set in grand, mysterious places.
Right, spooky castles.
Exactly. What Bronte does differently, as our sources show, is take that same raw energy, that discovery of passion, and instead of putting it in spooky castles with ghosts, she roots it in the hidden, often uncomfortable, emotional realities of human connection. It moves deeply into the lesser-known realities of human life.
Which is maybe why he still resonates so much. He deals with human complexity in a way that feels very, modern.
I think so.
So let's try and pull this together. What did this all mean for our understanding of Rochester and why he continues to fascinate us? We've seen him arrive like a force of nature at Thornfield, embodying a villain hero straight out of a fairy tale or maybe Bluebeard's castle.
Yeah, surrounded by that chilling, vault-like atmosphere, accompanied by his impressive lion-like dog, a whole mood.
Definitely. And we've connected him to this remarkable literary family tree.
Right, from Charlotte Bronte's own youthful Legends of Angria, with their scandal, betrayal, and romantic domestic treachery, and that character, Duke Zamorna, to the fiercely passionate individualism of Lord Byron's Don Juan, associated with exotic figures like Persian kings and sultans.
And his name, hinting at the scandalous verse of the second Earl of Rochester.
Can't forget that. But perhaps most profoundly, we explored his kinship with Byron's Cain and Milton's Satan, the fallen angel and snake-like tempter, burdened by his own sin, possessing that deep, volcanic, secret nature.
But here's the stroke of genius, the real twist. Bronte didn't just import these figures, she transformed them. Jane's perception of him as the human being who broke the spell at once when he literally falls, needing succor, aid, and care, that completely subverts the Gothic ideal. And we've seen the grimly realistic black humor, cursing wet bedclothes, or the humiliating pantomime gear of the fortune-telling crone. It complicates any easy heroic label.
Absolutely. He's humanized in these really surprising, sometimes funny ways.
Yeah.
And what truly distinguishes Rochester, as we said, is that his deeply sexual nature is always treated as worthy of sympathetic seriousness. Jane recognizes it involuntarily as a passionate ferocity that is also deeply moral.
Right.
He's a fallen creature who absolutely wants to be saved, possessing the unique blend of emotional need and moral urgency and an intellectual awareness of his own spiritual predicament from within his own animalism.
That richness really sets him apart from other 19th century heroes, including Heathcliff.
Mm-hmm. And as the literary scholar Robert B. Heinlein points out, it opens up new areas of feeling and intersexual relationships, moving into those lesser-known realities of human life.
And ultimately, this deep dive reveals his lasting legacy. As both Heinlein and John Maynard suggest, he finds his real continuation, perhaps, in the great questions of sexuality and identity posed by D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Which, interestingly, faced similar outrage upon its first publication. Shows you how controversial this territory was and maybe still is.
So thinking about this unique blend, powerful, flawed, morally complex, vulnerably human, which was so controversial in its time.
What does it challenge you to consider about our understanding of heroes and maybe human relationships today? Something to mull over. And perhaps explore the sources yourself.